How is it going, everyone? Can we give a quick shout out to all of the actors and voice actors that end up leaking key information about upcoming video games that is not supposed to be said? First, I remember Norman Reedus with Death Stranding 2, then there was the Assassin's Creed 4 remake situation, and now one Christopher Judge has let out some information about what Sony Santa Monica is working on, and we'll break everything down. So what Christopher Judge noted was that Kratos will be voiced by T.C. Carson in the remakes. Christopher won't be in it. Remakes will have new technology, fighting system. A new title from Santa Monica Studio will be announced in late summer. Now, this is being construed different ways by people. What Christopher Judge said is, you'll be hearing what we're working on this summer. Based on Christopher Judge saying that, and Judge being the voice actor for Kratos, a lot of people are suggesting that this means a new God of War mainline entry will be announced in the summer. I would pump the brakes on that one. Just because Christopher Judge is involved in Santa Monica's next game doesn't mean it's necessarily a new God of War game. Guys, the voice actress for the main character of Returnal is in Soros as well. Christopher Judge can absolutely be in the next Santa Monica game as a new IP playing a different character. Do we have to talk about how many characters Troy Baker has played and so on and so forth? It's like they use the same actors in a lot of these games, so I would imagine that that shouldn't necessarily be that a next God of War title is going to be announced in the summer. I genuinely think we're going to have to wait a while for the new God of War game, and with the remakes getting confirmed, that's honestly my main worry. That look, I'm really excited for the remakes, and I think it's great. I would have liked to just see God of War 1, 2, and 3, Chains of Olympus, Ghosts of Sparta, the original games just get remastered and released on PlayStation 5. I think people would have played that. And hell, I would have liked the originals to get remastered and then us get remakes as well. You literally could have double dipped and people would have bought those games. That's how marquee of an IP God of War is, and it's just baffling to me that Sony has not done this. I don't know what their issue is with PlayStation 3 titles, and obviously God of War HD collection and the collection with the PSP titles, that was released on PS3. God of War 3 got remastered on PlayStation 4, but the original titles are lost on the PS3 or the originals on PS2 or PSP. Remakes are great. The idea of the remakes having a new technology, fighting system, and content, to me, that suggests that this isn't going to be a case of all three of the remakes baked into one game. I think a lot of people are thinking that based on the fact that God of War 1, 2, and 3, very short games. If you only played God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, and those are the games you're familiar with, you probably don't realize that God of War 1, 2, and 3 are fairly short in the sense that you could beat them in 8 to 10 hours. That was the time frame of action titles back in the day. Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta, even shorter as PSP games. What I am curious with is if they are doing a remake, there's a lot of different avenues you could go. Are you going to bake in Chains of Olympus content into this God of War remake trilogy? Are you going to bake in Ghost of Sparta content into this remake trilogy? That's pretty relevant content, and that would extend how much content. And if you're adding new content, and I imagine that it's going to follow maybe a similar path to how the gameplay is in God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, just because I feel like at a $70 price point, that style of game with the additional content is going to resonate with people a little bit more. But I also believe that they are going to get their mileage out of these games in the sense of, let's get $70 from people each time out. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and it's only, and it is going to encompass all three games in one entry. It's just, I can't see that. I look at what Square Enix did with the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. I look at what CDPR is doing with the Witcher trilogy, in the sense that with the Witcher trilogy, the idea seems to be, let's get the foundation in place, and then we can do the subsequent titles fairly quickly after one another. It seems like they want to get that entire trilogy out in 6 years. I could see that for God of War as well, where it's starting development now, let's get the foundation in place, and then when we do the God of War 2 and God of War 3 remake, it's not going to be 5 years in between those titles. It's going to be hopefully 3 years, and I think you can get your mileage out of it. The earliest I see this remake trilogy come out, or part 1 if they decide to segment it, would be 2030. If it's in early development right now and it's something they're announcing just to get people excited, I could see 4 years based on the fact that they have that story in place and the idea. Hopefully 2030 will be when we get part 1. Then you would think 2033 for part 2, 2036 for part 3. That's just, me spitballing here. However, the next title from Santa Monica is rumored to be coming out next year. That is this mythical new IP that we've been hearing that Santa Monica and Cory Barlog have been working on for eons and eons. This sci-fi new IP, and that is gonna be a major title for 2027 on PlayStation 5. Remember that Intergalactic is scheduled for next year. We'll see if that ends up getting delayed with the ongoings at Naughty Dog. We heard about the crunch and whatnot, and now that the PS6 has been delayed, you could theoretically delay Intergalactic and then, release it in 2028, and then you'll still have a window of opportunity to remaster the game, because that's what they do with the Naughty Dog titles. With Santa Monica's title being the big title in 27, if you do end up getting Santa Monica's new IP and Intergalactic out next year, look, I'm not that excited for Intergalactic. I think Naughty Dog, based on Last of Us Part 2, I just think they're kind of washed these days. That might be a little bit of a hot take, but, you don't put out a game for 7 years, and you put out Last of Us Part 2, that's just the opinion a lot of people are gonna have. I just don't think Naughty Dog is perceived in the way that they were in the early to mid 2010s. But nonetheless, it's still gonna be a big game, and you parlay that with Santa Monica's new IP, that's a pretty big 2027, and really, I think at the end of the day, that's the best you could hope for out of Sony these days. When they have so much emphasis on the live service titles, 2 first-party games a year is a massive W, and if you're talking about a first-party game from Santa Monica, if you're talking about a first-party game from Naughty Dog, I would say that's a W. The Intergalactic one, I would say that's up in the air, because Santa Monica's next title, if it's going to be revealed in the summer, I would imagine that it's going to come out in the fall of next year, and with Intergalactic, if there is this crunch issue, just push that game to 2028. It's not like you need to get that game out in 27, but I would pump the brakes on the new God of War being revealed. The next mainline God of War title being revealed in the summer, just because Christopher Judge is saying that you'll be hearing from us soon. Again, he can play a different character in a different game. That's theoretically what that is. The issue with all of this becomes, when is Kratos' journey going to continue? Look, the remakes are great. A lot of us know that story, and a lot of us are waiting for the next mainline God of War title. Are you telling me that we have to go through this new IP, then we have to get through the remake trilogy, and if they are segmented into one game a pop, you're talking about then God of War's next major title not coming out until 2040. I can't imagine that that would be the case. Santa Monica is a big studio. I could totally see that it being the new IP comes out and then the work begins on the next mainline God of War game full force. I imagine they have some of the template in place already, but in terms of full force production, I would imagine after the new IP comes out, that's when that would be starting. But again, this is all theoretical. It's just when I hear something like the remake trilogy getting revealed, I'm like, okay, this is very early on in development. Then you've got this new IP. How many games can Santa Monica be working on at the same time? What is the status of God of War as far as the next mainline title? Are we talking about, 2040? Are we talking about that being the timetable? Because that is a little bit worrisome if we are literally talking about the God of War remake trilogy coming out and then the next mainline God of War game coming out like 4 years after the remake trilogy is wrapped up. Even if the remake trilogy is one game in totality, that would still mean, let's say the remake trilogy is out in 2030, 4 to 5 years after that, you get the next mainline God of War game. That would still be 2034, 2035. That's a long ways away, so it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out, but let me know all of your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. What is your opinion on the God of War remake trilogy? And as far as what Santa Monica's title next year is, I still believe it's going to be that new IP. It could be a case of just Christopher Judge is playing one of the characters in said new IP. That'll do it for me. Your thoughts down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.